And something that rarely gets mentioned whenever you talk about farmers selling hay is that usually they've got it way underpriced. The cost of making a bale of hay, regardless of what kind of equipment you have, generally is higher than most people think. And one of the reasons is because, believe it or not, most farmers work for free. Hey y'all, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm, and this is hay hauling day. I bought some more winter hay, and I've got to go pick it up. It's gonna have to be in a couple trips, and I've enlisted the help of my stepdad with hauling it today. So come along and I'll show you how that goes. I've done a little bit of farmer engineering right here. Got a top link attached to this bale spear, holding it on with straps. That ought to work. Okay, so just as I was getting ready to leave, the guy that I'm buying this hay from got a hold of me and said that he had something come up, so I'm gonna have to get the rest of the hay tomorrow. So while I'm out here, I wanted to take just a moment to, I guess, answer the question of why I buy hay instead of bale my own. And there's a handful of reasons for this. Number one is I don't have the equipment. If you're gonna bale your own hay, you have to have the equipment to do that. You have to have something to mow the hay with, you have to have something to rake it with, you have to have something to bale it with. I don't have any of those things. Now, while it is true that you can probably buy hay equipment for a few $1,000s, chances are that that type of hay equipment is going to need some work. And if you're not mechanically inclined, that equipment is going to be nothing more than a big headache for you. Now, if you are mechanically inclined and you enjoy working on that kind of stuff, that's great. Now, I don't mind to do mechanical work, but I just as soon not have to if I'm working on a schedule like baling hay. So which leads me to the second side of that first point, which is good hay equipment is really expensive. We're talking upwards of tens of thousands of dollars in order to be able to buy good, high quality equipment that you can, I guess, roughly count on to not break down on you, hopefully on a regular basis. So for me right now, it's cheaper to buy hay. I've paid $50 a bale for actually all of this hay out here, and whenever I'm done, I'll have 30 bales, which is, $1,500. Now I can spend $1,500 a year for a good little while before I hit the break-even point on buying hay. And something that rarely gets mentioned whenever you talk about farmers selling hay is that usually they've got it way underpriced. The cost of making a bale of hay, regardless of what kind of equipment you have, generally is higher than most people think. And one of the reasons is because, believe it or not, most farmers work for free. While they may calculate fuel, wear on the equipment, and supplies that it takes to put the bale of hay together, they rarely count any time. I'd like to take a moment and ask you that if you're enjoying this video, to please hit that like button. That way YouTube will know to show it to other folks as well. And if you're not a subscriber and you enjoy this kind of content, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll know when we post a new video. Now, the number two reason I buy my own hay is that my pastures are not nearly hay quality. Most of what I have growing in my pastures are fescue and weeds. There's really not much in the way of legumes like clover. Now, I hope to one day have these pastures built back up to hay quality, but that's going to take some time and a little bit of money to make that happen. And right now, it's just not in the budget. And that brings me to the number three reason that I buy hay instead of baling my own, which is that I'm trying to build up my pastures. Probably one of my favorite things about buying hay is that all of the nutrients that go into creating this bale of hay get recycled, and the vast majority of it ends up on my pastures once it goes through the cattle. As the cows eat this grass that's in this bale of hay, it's going to go through their digestive system, and they're going to leave these nice little brown fertilizer patties all over the place. In the spring, I hook a drag that I have made out of old tires up to the tractor, and I go out and I spread those cow pies all around the pasture so that the soil can absorb it more evenly. Now, of course, those cow pies, they will break down on their own, but again, I'm doing it for the purpose of more evenly distributing the cow pies. Now, one thing I could also do is buy a manure spreader and do a deep bedding type of feeding with my cattle, and I could add things like sawdust and old leaves, litter, basically create like a large compost pile, and that's something that I possibly will do in the future. But right now, the way that I'm set up, I roll these bales out in the field and let the cows basically do all their magic right there on the spot. Now, I'll be the first to admit that there are plenty of good reasons for baling your own hay. But if you're just starting out and trying to build your operation, chances are you're not going to be able to get it to pencil out even to a break-even point for quite some time. There's a whole host of things you can spend your money on if you're just getting started out farming that will give you a return much faster than baling your own hay. So those are just a few thoughts that I wanted to share with you. By no means is it the end-all, be-all of the hay discussion. Naturally, this is one of those things that's gone on for years, and I doubt it's going to be settled anytime soon. So as always, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.